Hello, Rick here with another Star Trek vessel lineage thingy. I've done a couple of these now, and it seems prudent to touch on a more famous legacy vessel, the Defiant. The USS Defiant is a legacy name that belongs to ships arguably as important to the galactic layout of Star Trek as the Enterprise vessels. This ship's name was named after a fictional HMS Defiant, which in turn may be inspired by vessels of the name Defiance. The HMS Defiance has a history dating back hundreds of years, but I couldn't find any reference to a Defiant with a T. So I'm left to assume that the HMS Defiant is also a fictional vessel. Unless you have a private ship named the Defiant, then go ahead and claim credit. In the 2250s, the new Constitution-class vessels were the pinnacle of Federation design and incorporated numerous technologies. The original launch consisted of 4 vessels in 2245, and most of these, and their subsequent ships, inspired their own Starfleet legacies, a testament to their effectiveness and extensive utilisation. The USS Defiant was such a vessel. As this ship's registry is NCC 1764, it suggests a later date of commission than the original Constitution-class vessels. This is supported by beta content which says that the Defiant completed its first 5-year mission in 2265, where it was overhauled with current technologies so that it resembled the freshly refit USS Enterprise NCC 1701. This mission began in 2260 under one Captain Sterling. Star Trek Discovery mentions that the ship in 2256 was patrolling Sector 6 during the Federation-Klingon War, which narrows down the vessel's launch date more so. Philippa Georgiou was also listed as the first officer of the Defiant from 2246 to 2249, so construction of the next batch of Constitution ships may have been as early as a year later. The ship undertook missions of a variety of responsibilities befitting the Constitution class's purpose, but was most known for its disappearance in 2268 in Tholian space. The ship was caught in an interphasic rift while responding to an intercepted distress call. In fact, you can trace the USS Defiant through numerous Trek iterations, beginning in the original series episode The Tholian Web. We see the loss of the vessel as it slips out of reality and crosses into the mirror universe of the Terran Empire, and also back 113 years. Then, in the Enterprise 2-parter, In a Mirror Darkly, we see a failing Terran Empire undertake a mission into Tholian space to recover the comparatively advanced USS Defiant. The ship is ultimately commandeered by Captain Archer, then Empress Sato, and brings with it a leap in design and ability for the Terrans. Then, in Discovery's Despite Yourself, we learn that the Defiant's origin was kept a secret by Terran rulers, but they had no hesitation about flaunting their new powers. The subsequent classification of the mirror universe means that the USS Defiant NCC 1764 is still listed as missing, presumed destroyed. The next appearance of the USS Defiant was with the construction of the Defiant prototype, handled in part by Commander Benjamin Sisko. This was a combat-orientated vessel, somewhat new territory for Starfleet, and it had a lot of issues centered around its power grid. The project was begun in 2366 and put on hold for a time until the threat of the Dominion War brought the prototype into service in 2370 and stationed at Deep Space Nine in order to defend the Bajor sector. This vessel, as a prototype, was given the registry prefix NX 74205. It was captained by Commander Sisko. Although a combat escort, the small ship carried out many Starfleet assignments from mapping the Gamma Quadrant to ferrying personnel. It was also fitted with a cloaking device that was on loan from the Romulan Star Empire, who were also worried about the Dominion threat. This vessel played a major part in the Dominion War, being present for many engagements, some of which were under the command of Lieutenant Commander Jadzia Dax. unsurprisingly, the unique and brazen nature of this vessel led it to becoming a target with several theft attempts, schematic cloning, and a tempting prize in battle. Eventually, the ship was lost in the Second Battle of Chintoka, when it took a hit from a Breen energy-dampening weapon which shut down most of the formidable ship's defences. Captain Sisko, being a key strategist in the Dominion War, was quickly issued a new vessel, the USS Sao Paulo NCC 75633, and was allowed to rename it the USS Defiant NX 74205. This shows us that Starfleet had begun to produce the Defiant class in earnest. The ship survived the Dominion War and is still active as of the end of Deep Space Nine. In Star Trek Online, it is still assigned to the station under the command of James Kurland, after having been captained by Kira Nerys for a time also. This is one of the few occasions where a ship's registry was copied exactly as well as the name. With the Enterprise, we saw the -A added and so on, and most vessels don't seem to bother with maintaining a constant registry at all, so it's strange that the Defiant was allowed to have an identical duplicate. My theory is that the Dominion War was such a dark time for Starfleet that they wished to attempt to raise morale by downplaying the fact that their most effective combat hero ship had been taken out in 2 punches by the Breen, shortly after the attack on Starfleet Command on Earth. Sure, there'd be people who knew of the event and Starfleet wasn't going to classify an event with so many witnesses, but perhaps in some small way a soldier on the front somewhere could hear of the loss of the tip of the spear, check Starfleet's listings and see that there was still a USS Defiant with the exact same name flying around out there, so maybe the Defiant being destroyed was a lie and there was still hope. That's just a theory though. I'm not going to say it. Thanks for watching this nugget of a lore on another one of the legacy vessels from the Trek universe. If you've got any other vessels you want me to look into, feel free to suggest them, and until then, I've been Rick and I'll see you around. Goodbye.